Have you ever imagined living for almost 1,000 years? The early biblical patriarchs did, but how is that possible? Did they really live that long? Or is there another explanation? How do these stories compare with the ancient epics of Mesopotamia? And what if we told you that there is a scientific theory that could explain this longevity? Get ready to explore the mysteries of the impressive ages of the biblical patriarchs in Genesis 5 and find out if it's possible that we once lived that long. Today, we will explore Genesis chapter 5, where we find the genealogy from Adam to Jared. This chapter is crucial for understanding the continuity of the lineage from the first man created by God to the times preceding the flood. But why is this genealogy so important? And what do these impressive ages tell us? And before we dive into the genealogy of the patriarchs, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any episodes of our chronological biblical stories. Imagine Adam, already elderly, celebrating his last year of life. His 930th birthday was approaching, and his entire family was gathered. There were his son Seth, his grandson Enosh, his great-grandson Kenan, Mahalalel, son of Kenan, and Jared, great-grandson of Enosh. Adam probably at that moment remembered everything he had gone through to get there. From the expulsion from Eden, the pain of losing his son Abel, to the renewed hope with the birth of Seth. After the tragedy of Abel's death and Cain's exile, Adam and Eve went through a period of mourning and despair. But God, in his mercy, gave them another son. His name was Seth, Shet, which means granted, appointed, named. He was born when Adam was 130 years old. Seth grew up in a time when humanity was beginning to expand. He lived 912 years, and at 105 years old, he had a son named Enosh. When we read the book of Genesis and look at these ages, the first question that arises is, this must be wrong, right? Actually, this is quite possible. Let's get to know the first theory. Seth is the son of Adam. And remember that in Eden, God told Adam,
"Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food." Genesis 1:29.
This indicates that initially the human diet was plant-based. There is no explicit mention of meat consumption until after the flood. Some scholars and theologians, such as Richard Schwartz, in his book Judaism and Vegetarianism, suggest that the original diet, exclusively plant-based, contributed to the longevity of the early humans. They argue that the purity and simplicity of the diet could have provided all the necessary nutrients in a balanced way, without the toxins that can be found in meat. The absence of meat in the initial diet could have reduced exposure to zoonotic diseases transmitted from animals to humans, and toxins, resulting in a longer and healthier life. Could barbecue be the great villain of the story? This theory didn't convince you. It didn't convince me completely either. But there are others. By the end of this video, I think you will be convinced that the longevity of early humans can be scientifically explained. In chapter 5 of Genesis, after describing Cain's genealogy and Abel's death, the Bible mentions that Seth had a son named Enosh. It is said that during Enosh's time, men began to call on the name of the Lord. But what does this really mean? The Hebrew expression used here is Kara Beshem Yiva. Kara Beshem YHWH. Kara means to call or to invoke, while Beshem YWA translates to by the name of the Lord. This phrase implies an act of worship, reverence, and prayer to the true God, Yahweh. Some scholars believe this period marks the beginning of formal worship and rituals to God, establishing a pattern that would continue through the following generations. It may also indicate the use of the divine name Yahweh in prayers and praises, reinforcing the identity of the true God among the people. Enosh lived 905 years, a little less than his father. Maybe he wasn't vegetarian enough, but he probably lived in an era of a young Earth with a very mild climate, without much pollution. Could this have made him live so long? Let's get to know the second theory. According to this theory, the environmental conditions of the Earth at that time were very different from today. The climate was more stable and mild, and the Earth was less polluted. Defenders of this theory, such as scientist John D. Morris in his book, The Young Earth, argue that a purer environment with less exposure to pollutants and toxins could have significantly contributed to the longevity of the early humans. The theory suggests that before catastrophic events like a flood, climatic and environmental conditions were much more favorable to human health and longevity. Does this theory make sense? Maybe. But there are still other theories we will explore, and at the end, I will reveal my favorite one, the one that will surely convince you. At 90 years old, Enosh had a son named Kenan. Kenan lived 9-10 years and had a son, Mahalalel, at 70 years old. Mahalalel lived 895 years and had a son, Jared, at 65 years old. With everyone living almost a millennium, you may be wondering, didn't they have a different way of counting time from ours? One theory suggests that the ages mentioned in the Bible may have been counted differently, perhaps using seasons of the year instead of complete years. According to this hypothesis, a year could actually represent a seasonal cycle, like winter or summer, which would multiply the age by 4 for each year of our calendar. However, this theory has several limitations and is not widely accepted among scholars. Another theory is the Dynasty times theory, which proposes that the ages mentioned could refer to entire dynasties or clans, not specific individuals. Thus, Methuselah lived 969 years could mean that the dynasty of Methuselah lasted 969 years. This theory also faces criticism, as it does not align well with the biblical context, which seems to clearly refer to specific individuals and their lives. However, the strongest evidence suggests that the calendar used by the ancient Hebrews was very similar to our modern solar calendar. The writing of Genesis is attributed to Moses, who lived in ancient Egypt. Egypt already used a fairly advanced solar calendar, composed of 365 days divided into 12 months, very similar to our current system. Before telling you my most plausible theory that could clarify the age of the antediluvians once and for all, I would like to mention that the Bible is not the only source that mentions impressive ages. In the ancient Mesopotamian epics, such as the Epic of Atrahasis, the Epic of Zusudra, and the Weld-Blundell Prism, we also find accounts of individuals with spectacular ages. In the Epic of Atrahasis, for example, kings who ruled for extremely long periods are mentioned. In the Epic of Zusudra, we find stories of survivors of a great flood who lived for many years. The Weld-Blundell Prism lists Sumerian kings with reigns that lasted thousands of years. In the Weld-Blundell Prism, one of the genealogies mentions kings like Enmenluana, who reigned for 43,200 years, and Alalgar, who reigned for 36,000 years. These numbers are extraordinary and reflect a tradition of counting long periods of life, similar to what we find in the Bible. These stories show that the idea of extreme longevity is not exclusive to the Bible. However, there is a theory that I consider the most plausible of all. Let's explore the vitamin C synthesis theory. Vitamin C synthesis theory suggests that in the past, humans might have synthesized their own vitamin C, as many animals still do. Dr. Linus Pauling, a renowned scientist and two-time Nobel Prize winner, proposed an interesting theory. He suggested that ancient humans might have synthesized their own vitamin C, a capability we have lost over time. This loss makes us more susceptible to diseases and aging. Vitamin C is essential for our health because it helps in the production of collagen, which keeps skin, blood vessels, and bones strong. It also strengthens the immune system, helping to fight infections. Additionally, vitamin C acts as an antioxidant, protecting our cells from damage caused by oxidation. Oxidation is a natural process that occurs in the body when we breathe and process food. Humans need oxygen to survive, but at the same time that it helps you survive, it slowly kills you because it oxidizes your cells, causing them to deteriorate little by little and stop functioning properly. The same thing happens with any oxidized material. Over the years, it becomes useless. When this happens in humans, eventually the cells stop functioning correctly and they age and die. If our ancestors could produce vitamin C internally, this would give them a significant advantage. They would be less likely to suffer from age-related diseases and could have lived much longer and healthier lives. So, what do you think? Which theory seems most convincing to you? In the next video, following our chronological order of the Bible, we will delve into the life of Enoch, the one who walked with God and was taken by him. Who was Enoch, and why was his book excluded from the Bible? If you liked the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.